What is up, guys, and welcome back after a short hiatus. I'll tell you what, I didn't mean to take this long in between videos, but these past couple weeks have been the busiest I've had in just about as long as I can remember, so I've been slammed. I haven't been able to do anything fun. So I'm glad to be back, and we're going to be doing the recap number 4 today. It's going to cover a turn and a half that we got through in our last playthrough. Got through January of 1941 and then halfway through July of 41 up to the British turn. They decided they want to call it quits because, the last turn had been taken forever with the Russian front now all the way open. It was getting a little bit late and some big things happened on the Japanese turn, so they wanted to take some time to mull it over, and they got their time. It's been about three and a half weeks since we played last. But some good news is we are going to play on Wednesday. So we'll be streaming that on Wednesday, and I'll be finally doing the 50 subscriber giveaway drawing. And funny thing about that is in the 3 weeks that I've been MIA, we jumped all the way up to 100. I think last I checked I was at 101. So instead of doing a whole nother giveaway, we're just going to double our current giveaway. Last I checked, we were in the 30s on comments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double that. I haven't decided if I'm going to do the number of them. So, 3 to 4 would make it 6 to 8 $20 gift cards. Or if I'll double the value and make it 3 to 4 $40 gift cards. That'll probably be a game time decision. See what the chat thinks. And then we'll do our drawing. And should be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. This is my first time. So with all that housekeeping stuff out of the way, let's go. Alright, real quickly before we get started, I just want to show you this backlog of stuff that I have. I've been getting this stuff in the mail for the past 3 weeks, and I just haven't been able to paint it because I haven't had time. But I've got a bunch of new American stuff coming in here, a bunch of carriers, some new German heavy tanks, so I don't have to use the same model for the medium and heavy tanks. I got some Russian heavy tanks for the same reason. Not sure what I'm going to do with these yet, but they were cheap, so I got them. Got basically an entirely new Japanese Navy, which I'm really excited to get out there. And I got these sweet-ass damage markers for the capital ships. You'll see those in action a little bit later. And then I got these just so I can mark off where I want my attacks to be so I don't forget. I know everybody's had that experience where they had a super important attack to do and then they just forgot to do it. It happens to me all the time. So I got those so I can mark off my impending attacks so I don't forget them. I also got these little capital markers. I'm not totally sure how I'm going to handle them. I think I'm going to paint them each in the 10 colors of the powers that have the victory cities. So, green, black, blue, tan, all that stuff. I'm not going to name them all off because I can't remember them right now. But so I think I'm either going to have you keep the victory cities that you have, like on your little cards over here. So if Japan has 3 victory cities, they'll have, the 3 colors of the cities that they have. Or I'll put them on the actual board themselves. We'll just see how I want to do that. But yeah, that's some cool little stuff that's been going on. I got a ton of painting to do. I like to try to keep up with it as I get it, but obviously you guys know I've been super busy, as I like to keep on mentioning. Okay, starting off with Germany. We'll start over here on the Eastern Front, because that's kind of where the most action has been for Germany. Now, I made a very, very dumb mistake, probably one of the worst mistakes I've ever made. So what I did was I blitzed here into eastern Ukraine on my first attack into Russia, trying to take advantage of that attack bonus that I had. I blitzed in there with 9 tanks, 5 mechanized infantry, and 4 planes. And he had this whole force here, a bunch of infantry and stuff, and I rolled like crap, and it kind of went poorly, but whatever, it happens. I managed to retreat with 5 tanks, but the mistake I did was I moved the rest of my freaking army here into western Ukraine instead of here into southern Ukraine. So I retreated with 5 tanks completely exposed in southern Ukraine to counterattack instead of protecting them with the 15 infantry I have here. So I just lost 5 tanks for no reason, which, I mean, that's just about backbreaking. I'm now outnumbered here on the Eastern Front already. It's been 1 turn, so whoops. We'll see how it goes, because if you guys remember, the U.S. is building up heavy in the Atlantic, so Germany's in kind of a pickle here, guys. We're going to have to see how I'm going to handle this, because even I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm kind of in a tough spot here. So I'll take you over to the Atlantic. We'll talk more about the Russian forces when we talk about the Russians here in a second. We'll come out here to the Atlantic. Now, the Germans have been fortunate enough to not lose a sub. The British, if you'll recall, were a little bit distracted here in the English Channel for a while, and were a little bit late getting their sub defense out. So the Germans have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 subs in the Atlantic right now, in the Mediterranean. And the British just got their advanced anti-sub warfare on their last turn, and the Germans managed to get through an entire round of rolling 8 subs without hitting a 2. So now that I said that, I jinxed it. I'm going to lose 3 or 4 subs on the next turn. But good luck for the Germans on the first turn. Now in consecutive turns, we've taken off 18 IPP from the British, and then 15 on the next turn because of that +1 they get to their defense, to their defensive rolls. So yeah, 18 and then 15, that is not a bad total for the Germans. But we'll get more into the British defenses, but they're starting to spread out here. And of course they got advanced anti-sub warfare. So now here on the Atlantic wall of Germany, as I said, we'll talk about the Americans, and they are being the Americans, as you guys know, but we'll talk about them last. Here for the German Atlantic wall, I've been having to put more money in here than I wanted to, because the British have already tried to land once, so I did try to recover from that. I lost a bomber to it and my transport plane, which sucked. So I've been having to put a lot of money here onto the Atlantic wall. We've got infantry all down the coast. I've got a lot of territories to cover here, and I've been buying a ton of fighters. The Germans have 7 fighters on the board right now, and we've got this heavy strategic bomber, which is awesome. And we've already put it to good use. I don't remember how much damage this is, but I think it's around 15 damage on this factory right now. So take off 15 for the convoy rating, and then if he wants his tech roll, he's going to have to take off $15 more for the British there. So that's mainland Germany. We'll go on to the Vichy right now. They've got 4 infantry in southern France. The Vichy now have all the French money secured, except for $1 here in Cameroon. Other than that, not much more to say about the Vichy. They're kind of spreading out in Africa, and hopefully they'll continue to do that for my sake. Moving on, we'll come back up here to the Russians. I don't remember if I covered this in the last video, but they have the entirety of the Middle East just about, except for Afghanistan, which, doesn't matter. It's kind of useless. And he's bulking up Transcaucasia here a little bit because the Germans did drop an airborne, and they have a strategic bomber there in Romania. So if he leaves that undefended, the Germans can drop in there and steal Turkey from him, which would be bad for the Russians probably. We'll see. Other than that, he has a beefy force here in southern Ukraine. That's 10 infantry, 2 motorized, and 2 Katyushas. So the Germans are going to have to deal with that before they do anything else, which is, really annoying since that force just took out all of my tanks. And then he's got another huge force here in Kursk. He's got 14 infantry there, a cavalry, 2 Katyushas, 2 advanced artillery, and 2 fighters. So the Germans aren't looking great in the east. He's got a little bit more up there in Smolensk and 3 infantry in Stalingrad. So Russians are looking strong right now. I think they're actually leading the game in victory points. They've got Lithuania, they've got all of Finland. Again, they've got all of the Middle East. So they're doing pretty well in their victory points. They've lost only 1 here for Kiev. Other than that, they've kept all their home territories. Nothing going on here in the east. They've got a militia and a motorized out here and an infantry. That's it. I think that's been like that the entire game. So that's about it for the Russians. No navy. Just kicking some German ass here on the Eastern Front. All right, let's move on to Japan. Now, Japan is the reason we cut it off early because they had a big move here in their last turn. What they managed to pull off 3 huge things. Up first, the Japanese ended the KMT threat in China. The Commonwealth have surrendered and they are out of the game. Again, the CCP can always come back in if the Russians decide to invade. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. I think he wants this. You good boy. You good boy. You good boy. Good boy. Okay, sorry. Little detour. So, the Japanese have knocked out the Chinese, but the CCP can get back into it if the Russians take some territory here and decide to gift it back to the CCP. They never surrender, so they can always come back. So that's China. China is completely Japanese at this point, as well as if you look down here, the Japanese attacked this FEC fleet sitting here outside of Calcutta. And that was an excellent attack for the Japanese. They actually didn't lose a single ship. You see the Japanese player brought his little cannon fodder here, didn't even have to use it because he just received 2 hits, took those on his battleships. And we've got these nice new damage markers here, which look great. And he took Ceylon here for these dockyards, so those Japanese battleships are already going to be able to start their repairs if he decides to do so on his next turn. Because repairing, if you'll recall, is kind of a pain in the butt in this game. It takes a really long time. Those battleships, you're going to have to sit there for the entirety of the next turn, which feels like an age in this game if you can't move your units. Other than that, Japanese also took the Philippines with a relatively small landing force, took out the U.S. destroyer and transport that was sitting there. Also took the Marianas to secure that victory point. And the big one here, the Japanese used their surprise strike up here off the U.S. coast and wiped out the United States Pacific Fleet. They also dropped a dude off here in Hawaii, took that for free. So the United States does not have a naval presence in the Pacific, nor does the FEC. The extent of the Allied fleet is sitting right here off the coast of New Guinea. 3 Anzac destroyers, an Anzac transport, and an Anzac light cruiser, as well as this fighter here, are all that the Allies currently have in the Pacific. Though, the Americans have 2 carriers almost done, as well as this heavy cruiser. Anzac has a battle cruiser almost finished, as well as an Anzac battleship. I actually don't even have a gray battleship painted up, so this guy's just sitting here. So they've got some help on the way, but as of right now, the Japanese have a sizable naval advantage in the Pacific. The Soviets also have a sub and torpedo boat destroyer still sitting up here. So Japan is looking very, very strong, which is good news for the Axis because the Germans are not looking as strong. Moving on to the UK, I kind of have to talk about them a little bit early, but while I'm talking about the Germans, they have dropped a new medium bomber, so they've got 2 medium bombers and a strategic bomber up here. We'll see if they start trying to counter bomb the Germans, as well as having 4 transports here in the English Channel with a sizable army in here. That is 8 infantry sitting in London that can be transported. 3 fighters out here and a tactical bomber, so they've got a massive air force to go with those infantry. We'll see what they decide to do with them. Moving down here, we've got a medium-sized fleet here, probably out here to hunt some subs. Gibraltar is still well fortified. Eastern Egypt, 4 infantry and a militia. Not too much going down in South Africa or the eastern part of Africa. Moving on to the FEC. Since they don't have that shipyard, they've been going heavy into the Gurkhas. If you look out here in Bengal, they have 6 Gurkhas sitting out there, as well as 1 more in Burma and 2 infantry in Burma. So they've got a solid ground game there, as well as 2 fighters in Calcutta and 5 more infantry. So the FEC are looking really strong in India. They still hold Sarawak and British Malaya. They lost Hong Kong to the Japanese on the last Japanese turn. Moving out to our friends the Anzac. They are fortifying New Guinea with an infantry, a motorized, a fighter, and their fleet, as well as building up a little bit in Sydney. We've got 2 infantry and an artillery in there. And of course this battle cruiser that I mentioned earlier, and the battleship. And that's about it for the Commonwealth. They're just getting into the fight here in the Pacific. And they've been fighting with the Germans for 4 or 5 turns now here in Europe. Next up are the Italians, who, you guessed it, haven't done jack squat. Though their fleet is getting bigger, they've now got 3 battleships and an aircraft carrier in their fleet, so 4 capital ships in the Med, as well as 3 transports and 3 Marines. So who knows what the Italians are planning with that. They are slowly building up with their little tiny 10 IPP income. So we'll see if they decide to do anything rash, because once they go to war, it's tough for them. It's tough, but we'll see what they do. Moving on to our friends the Americans. They have mobilized the National Guard because they're at war. They've got 4 free infantry there. They've got 4 infantry in San Francisco, as well as 3 fighters and a tactical bomber. So I imagine those were planned for these carriers. We'll see what he does now that there is a Japanese fleet threatening his coast. Coming over here to the Atlantic, this is where most of the Americans' money has gone. Count them up, we've got 7 transports off the coast of Washington, D.C., which is horrifying. Though he is light on the ground troops right now, he's got 2 infantry and that vaunted light tank there in the northeast, as well as a medium bomber. But of course, he's got 4 free infantry, and he's got plenty of money to drop an entire army in 1 turn. He's got the majority of his fleet up here off the coast of Newfoundland, 2 fully loaded aircraft carriers, 2 battleships, 3 destroyers, and a coastal sub. The Americans are at war now, so we'll see what they do with their first turn. I'm excited to see it. The Americans are a menace. A menace, I say. And that's all I got for you guys. We're pretty much all caught up. The entire world is at war, except for those pesky Italians. And we'll see how it goes, guys. I'll see you on Wednesday.